Hello, YouTube. This is going to be a video on a number of topics, and I don't know what about. I haven't been on here in a while, but I have nothing else to do, so I decided, what the fuck, why not make a video? I usually make these at nighttime because I'm nocturnal. I'm nihilistic too, but I'm also nocturnal, so I usually end up making these at night, but not this time. I figured I'd make it in the day, and Trump has the coronavirus. And on another note, or COVID to be more exact, I assume COVID-19 is actually this more extreme version of the coronavirus because it's more deadly. Coronavirus is not as deadly. COVID is like the next stage of the virus, and that's what he has. But you can still overcome it. And again, I'll say this in a little bit. I hope he does. So this isn't going to be shitting on him too much because, again, I don't like to punch down, and that would be punching down. Although I still have to say, you know what, couldn't happen to a nicer guy. But with that being said, my name to this video, first off, it has very little to do with what it's about, and it's also paraphrasing lyrics to a KMFDM song. Because I am a child, and I apologize, or I have the mind of one anyways, but never mind that. As for Trump, and I said this somewhat a while back, because I learned actually Bernie Sanders was older than I thought he was, because I thought he was a little bit younger than Trump. He's actually closer to 80. And it was about Alex Jones, the supreme idiot, one and all, one and all, come one and all, behold the supreme idiot extraordinaire. Alex Jones chasing him around an airport, trying to harass him and accusing him of being a communist. But anyways, and I said, he's chasing an 80-year-old man around. Go figure. And yet again, I think that should totally be Alex Jones's right to say totally stupid things and to even harass Bernie Sanders in an airport, because there's no other way of looking at that. Yet when I post a totally harmless comment or a post on Twitter that had nothing to do with politics, as I've talked about before, and it was about defending a wrestling character, I get kicked off. But go figure. But nevertheless, I am a full 100% supporter of free speech, but that's not the point here. I do hope Trump gets over the coronavirus. I don't want him to get sick or die or anything else. And I certainly hope Biden doesn't get it, or for that matter, Pence or Kamala or anyone else. I don't like it when people get sick. I don't want anyone to die. I don't think that's necessary. Certainly not when it can be avoided and it's not necessary. And I do not believe. I think it can be avoided, and I don't believe, or I hope it can be, and I don't believe it's necessary. So I hope he gets better. But with that being said, I have to say this. You cannot deny the fact that he certainly could have prevented this. And that, there is an old saying, what goes around comes around. Now, he did lie about, or at the very least played down by his words. He played down, knowing it could be a bad deal. He played down the coronavirus. He did that. Now, there's no mistaking it. He did do this. He played down the coronavirus. And I don't even care so much about that. What I care most about is later on, because he didn't want to stop school funding because people aren't going to school, because that might look bad on him and he might lose the election. So because he didn't want to lose the election, in order to save his orange ass, and I'm saying that trying to be nice here, I am trying, because like I said, I'm not trying to attack him, but let's not act like he's innocent either. But he did send children back to school during the pandemic, and common sense tells you you're not going to get rid of a pandemic when you're sending children to school. And you have thousands of fucking people, walking around in close proximity to each other, sitting in classrooms for 8 hours a day, 300 something days out of a year. And you have children and adults. And I remember early on, they said it could affect small children too. So this could affect kindergartners and people like that. And from my understanding, they would have went back too. So I'm just saying, either way, they're going to get out. They're going to see old people. Old people could get the virus. They're going to spread it around. All kinds of people are going to have the virus. If I got the virus right now, and I'm sure you would all cheer because you hate my guts, but anyways, if I got it right now, I could technically die from it. It's not as likely, but it could happen. So certainly a child and some of these people could. So how many of them have gotten that virus and died, or given it to someone else, maybe someone older, and they got the virus and died because of his dumb ass stupid decision that he should know better than to send these kids back to school? And I don't want to talk about or hear this bullshit about constitutionality that you don't care about, and you prove that when you go out and you gun down protesters, as some Trump supporters have. But I don't want to hear about constitutionality because this isn't opening up sports events so people or churches so people can go there if they want to. And this isn't even about parents making their kids go to school. This is the government making your kids go to school during a fucking pandemic because he didn't want to look bad going into an election year. So that's ultimately what it comes down to. But with that being said, so again, I'm just saying that has to be said. He could have done things to have prevented this. But with that being said, I hope he takes the virus more seriously now, because he also was not wearing a mask rather. I'm sorry. Ate dinner with another person in another country during a pandemic, another leader that had the virus, and his wife who had the virus, and walks around, without the virus because he thought, hey, gee, I'm Donald Trump, I'm rich, I'm king of the world, I'm president. It can't happen to me, but it did. Just like the rest of us, you're mortal too, and you're not better than the rest of us. But with that being said, I do hope he gets better. I don't want anything bad to happen. I don't want, any of that. But I will say this: I sure as hell don't feel sorry enough to vote for him. But I do feel, nevertheless, I do feel sorry for him, and I hope he gets better. And I hope he's okay. And I don't want anyone to die from a virus. Obviously, and living in a totally, extremely unethical world, I do still have my ethics and my values. Granted, they're loose values, and they're certainly not always the most modest of values. I do have my values, and they're my values, and I keep them to myself. And you can have them or not have them, but they're my values and my morality. I'm very passionate about it. And cheering for death is not something I do, and it never will be something I do. So I do hope he gets better. Moving on forward. On the other issue, Biden getting the virus. Now, from what I understand, they said he did not. And maybe that is kind of, universal justice and karma working itself out, because he did take the virus seriously. He did want to keep the damn schools in the rest of the country shut down. And he wanted to defeat the virus. And he seems like he really did cure. And it wasn't him so much as Obama, but Obama did put things into effect that if we had something like the coronavirus, we could notice it, we could see it, and we could target it quickly and fastly. And what had happened was Trump had started to dismantle, almost as soon as he took power, everything to keep the coronavirus from getting out of control, because he saw that as government race and government spending, because that was actual money, your tax dollars, my tax dollars, that went to helping us. Now, maybe it seemed a little exorbitant at the time, but does it now? And even if it was a little exorbitant, whatever I'm trying to say, a little excessive, do you really need to dismantle much of it in the way that he did? No. And that is, once again, this libertarian philosophy that, as much as I like some of these people like Ron Paul and even his son Rand Paul, this is the kind of absurd horseshit that libertarianism and libertarian philosophy, especially that obnoxious paleo-conservative Anne Ryan, quasi-Alex Jones portion of it, causes and makes happen. But with that being said, here's the thing. It took me months to get to the point where I would vote for Biden. Now, if he were to get the virus, and he probably won't, but I cannot promise you I would vote for Kamala Harris. Now, I've told you why in the past, because first of all, look, her record as a prosecutor, her record in the government, they included laughing as late as 2014, laughing at marijuana legalization, and a number of other things. But second of all, you're going to have the SJW, social justice, for lack of a better word, ring of the Democratic Party that, as we know now, is certainly no worse, possibly not as bad as some of the Trump supporters and the alt-right. But as do I, that in that you're going to have those people that are going to accuse you of and say you are not voting for her because she's a black female. Now, the female part, on some level, I don't even care about, because I've heard it so much that it's just, it's almost like I've built up an immune system to it, because it's just like, it's an absurdity. and it's like one ear and out the other over my shoulder thing, that you think I'm so stupid as to not vote for someone because they have a vagina. I mean, that's absolutely nonsense. So on that level, I don't care, but I do care. And one thing that does still have a significant effect on me, that does do harm and damage to my character, I believe, as a person, and is totally a misnomer and a form of defamation is what it is. I know you think of defamation, you think of the ADL or whatever, but defamation is a word. And that's when you say something about someone that's totally absurd and it totally harms their character and state of being personhood and personality. So the other thing is racism, and you're going to say I didn't vote for him because he was black, and that's out and out bullshit. And anyone that follows me knows that for two damn reasons. One, because I was a big supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's not enough in and of itself. But I will say this: I was, and I'm not going into detail about all my beliefs, but I supported that. And the other reason is because I already voted for Obama twice. So if I'm some kind of big fucking racist, why in the hell would I do that? So I don't care about the female thing. And also, that could be based on misunderstanding, because I am very critical of feminism. And I have been critical of some elements of female culture and feminism. So I can understand that. But to say that it has anything to do with her being black, now you're getting very personal. And I consider that an attack on my character. And that's just but more than that, it's just a downright damn lie, because that's not based on misunderstanding. There's no reason to think I'm racist. That's a lie. But I still probably would vote for her, even her, if it came down to her versus Trump, and especially Pence, because you don't know if Trump is really going to recover from this. We really don't know. And he's a lot like a lot of the other fascist countries now, like Russia, for example, and a lot of other countries, where they don't tell you if he was really sick, if he's going to make a recovery. He wouldn't tell you. And if there was any way of him not letting you know, he probably wouldn't even tell you he had a virus. So he would continue doing these same stupid fucking debates and putting Biden, as well as whoever the poor smuck who happens to moderate these events, he would continue putting them in danger, I'm sure. Because that is kind of a character trait, or a trait of his character, that he almost sees sickness as a weakness in his very corrupt understanding of the world. But I do have to, again, I will say this, and I will give him credit. I think Secular Talk once said that about him he was wrong about a hurricane last year, and he tried to draw a line with a marker to make himself look like he was telling the truth. So I will say this about Trump. They really should preserve his mind whenever he dies, and if that's 100, maybe it'll be 20 years from now, but whenever that is, of old age or from the coronavirus or whatever it is, they need to preserve his mind, because he has a really, truly unique mind. Because you look at this guy, he doesn't know what he's doing. That's obvious. He was already rich. And on some level, I don't really even think he wanted to become president to help the American people. But this because of his extreme ego, and I will give him some credit, real power, and whatever talents he has as an entertainer and a speaker and public speaker and motivator, he somehow clawed and fought his way into the White House, even against the media that was against him, against a Republican Party that was largely against him, at least at first, and against the Democratic Party. Love the guy or hate him, you have to give him some credit. Anyone that can do that deserves some level of respect. And I'm not just saying this because he could die, and obviously I don't want to be the guy who attacked someone so close to their death. But I just wanted to say that he has a incredible character trait that I would like to have, and a lot of us should have, and that we are to some extent a bit jealous of, that he has that kind of I don't know what it is, this strength of character to do something like become president in a country that was so resistant to him, and like almost like almost like an outside virus. So many people trying hard to keep him becoming president, sometimes for the right reasons, and more often than not, at least at first, for the wrong reasons. But so many people wanted him not to be president, and he still somehow managed to pull it out and do it. Now, he still lost the popular vote in the majority of the country, didn't vote for him, and were smart enough not to, because, as we now know, he did not know what he was doing. But you have to give the man credit. He somehow pulled it off, and at that time, I was very happy, because I just felt like that was a major fuck you to a lot of fascist elements of our country. Now, of course, I did not know about the law and order bullshit, and I did not know he would, gas peaceful protesters and pose with a Bible in front of a church randomly. How in the hell do you even make a correlation between the two? You tell me, because that commandment in the Bible, thou shalt, attack and brutalize people protesting police murder. Yeah, I've never heard of that one, but anyways, he gasses peaceful civil rights protesters, anti-police violence protesters, whatever you want to call them, and he poses randomly with a Bible. So I didn't know that at the time, but I did vote for him, as a lot of people did. And by the way, I would have voted for Jill Stein, but I didn't, because I knew, first of all, I knew she wasn't Ren, and all I need to defend my conclusion on that case, or my rationale, is the fact that she didn't. So, or is she president? No, so I was right. But second of all, at that time, I really did like Trump to some extent. Now, I never really trusted him, but I liked him. But anyways, I hope Biden does well, because I don't feel like having to refashion my brain and retrain my brain all over again with such a small time, less than a month now until the election. I don't need to retrain my brain to vote for fucking Kamala Harris after having gone so long trying to vote for myself, get myself to vote for Biden, who, as we now know, or as we know, supported the Iraq War, voted for the Iraq War, and Biden also wrote the fucking crime bill. So I don't want to have to do that. And also, Biden is getting old. You can see that with his cognitive function, and he's closer to 80 than Trump is by 4 or 5 years, and that does make a difference. So I'm a little bit worried that, his health might be in extreme danger. And like I said, I don't want to see anyone die. But also, Biden never put anyone directly in prison. Kamala Harris did. And like I said, even if you do your job as well as you can do it, I'm just not a fan of the prosecutors or the prosecuting profession. And that makes me question your character. And, I'll even say this about the feminism part. How the hell do I know she doesn't hate men? I don't know. I don't think Hillary did, although with some of the feminists, they were no help in me thinking that. But I don't think she did. But for other reasons, I just didn't trust her to be president. And I didn't see a significant reason for me not to vote for Trump back then. Now I have every reason in the world not to. But at that time, I didn't. But I do feel sorry for Trump is the point of this video, I guess. And I could talk about some other things, but I think I'll just leave it here. I got all night to go. Maybe I'll make a video tonight, or sometime today or tonight. But the point is about Twitter and whether or not I'll be using it any, or if I think I can even trust him to leave my shit up if I do. Because it's not safe. If you saw how absurdly innocent and trivial my comment was, and how it wasn't even political, you would agree with me, because it wasn't in any way offensive to anyone. And I'm still not sure why in the hell I got taken down. But well, the point is, and that was my first strike, and you're not supposed to get a 7-day suspension, I don't think, for your first strike anyway. So that was just horseshit. But anyways, about the virus, I do feel sorry for Trump, and I hope he does feel better and gets better, because I don't want to see anyone die. But at the same time, that's not enough for me to vote for him. And I do hope he loses, and I hope Biden stays in the race and he wins. But honestly, even if it was Kamala Harris, while I'm not a fan, I'm probably not going to vote for Trump. I can guarantee you that. And if it was Pence, I've said this before, I would be even less likely to vote for him because of his religious craziness. And he's just such a cliche, plastic Republican asshole. So I'm not voting for Pence. And if it was Kamala Harris, I probably wouldn't vote for her. But then again, maybe I would, because I could probably suck it up and do what I have to do. The same for Biden. But I hope it's Biden. And I hope that I can vote for him, and that you all vote for him to get rid of this Oompa Loompa, who, again, is a sick Oompa Loompa. And I hope he gets well. But you can't say it's not totally not his fault, because many of the dumb, stupid things and decisions he made as president of the country did that. And you can't say it's the Democrats anymore, or any of these people, because he's had the last 4 years as president. Biden, at least, was never president, and neither was Kamala Harris. Trump, and to a lesser extent Pence, they have the last 4 years, and our country is in a more chaotic shape, if nothing else, though I don't know about worse, because I think that kind of cried injustice that went on during Bush and Obama is almost worse in some ways, because it doesn't get recognized, and people don't complain about it. So in some weird ways, I think that's worse than the chaos we've had under Trump. But we have had a more chaotic presidency and chaotic world under Trump, and you can't say he's innocent of that. And had he just did things like not send innocent children, that's not reopening the economy, because they don't have a choice, and even their parents don't have a choice to send them back to school during a fucking pandemic. Had he not done that, and had he told people to wear a mask earlier on and did simple things like that, he wouldn't be a guy with a fucking virus now and possibly going to die. So you can blame him to some level for this, but I still hope he gets better. P666.